god damn it good phantom morning to everybody. And right now, man, I'm just discussing and dropping in to talk about why people talk to themselves. There's different versions of talking to yourself, because words are very, very powerful tools that we can use to affect the subconscious mind and program ourselves to create the reality that we want to create, perceive things how we want to perceive, modify our behaviors and things of that nature. Words are very, very powerful. I look at words are almost like a sigil, where it's like if you use a particular word, you create that world and stuff like that. Because a word, in a sense, is a spell. A spelling is a spell. So if you understand how to use words very effectively, then essentially you can modify your mind and modify your behaviors and a lot of different things. Because literally, you start taking on the shape and form of that word almost. If you keep telling yourself that you're a winner and you do it with emotions repeatedly, eventually you will act and feel like a winner, and you will produce these behaviors and things of that nature, right? But right now for this video, I just wanted to separate, because there's a very effective, because words are a very effective way of modifying your behavior and embedding new beliefs and stuff like that and changing yourself. But there's also the version of it where you see people in the street just talking to themselves and things like that, right? And that's more so the things that I want to talk about right here, because the mind is very powerful. But if a spirit of an observer gets lost within their mind, within their thoughts and feelings, within their experiences, within the events that, whatever may have happened to them that they're still living by, then, well, that's what a person's gonna be sitting there and talking to themselves about, right? A lot of the times when you see people talking to themselves, especially like, homeless people in the downtown, or just on a very general level, it starts off with people talking to themselves within their own mind. Then it becomes people talking to themselves while they are in their day walking life and stuff like that, to the point that you can walk down the street and see a person literally just talking to themselves and shit like that, and what they're really talking. And look, there's different levels of it. There's just a level where a person's just talking to themselves within their own mind, and there's the level where it goes extreme to the point that a person is talking outside of like literally with their own mouth about whatever it is, because they're really just talking to themselves and shit like that, right? Because they're somehow they lost track of reality based upon whatever experience, and this is why it happens, right? A lot of the times when people are talking to themselves, they're really just arguing about and reviewing the terms and conditions for a belief that they may have inherited based upon an experience, right? Let's say a person has a traumatic event in their life, and that traumatic event in their life shaped them to be a very fearful person, to be very scared and things like that, right? Now that's going to be an influence, that's going to be an energy within their subconscious mind and things like that, right? And therefore it's going to affect their conscious mind, right? And a lot of the times, like, those experiences are stored in the root chakra. Those because when you're a kid, you're just passionate, you're having fun, you're not really conditioned by the bias of this world. You're free of worldly conditioning. It's easy for you to just go around and experience and just be however God designed you to be, just to be authentic, to be genuine. And that's why there's so much joy in being a child. Even when you're an adult, there's so much joy to be found in healing your inner child and taking out these vibrational wounds and actually allowing yourself to be genuine, allowing yourself to be curious about the world. Because as adults become very structured and very limited and very restricted in a lot of areas. And that's why being an adult is really a curse at the same time, because, you kind of lose that child curious part of you, that beautiful part of you, so you gotta make sure you bring that beautiful part of you, because, it's good to have that childish part. It really makes you young again, rather than being old and things like that, right? But a lot of the times people have difficulties bringing that part of them out and maintaining that part of them. I know I've had that experience and stuff like that, right? But it's really because of that early negative experience that a person had, and that early negative experience serves as a precursor for the rest of their life, almost like a default curse that a person believes in. So when people talk to themselves, it's really a part of them that's convinced of something, that's sold out to something, that's possessed by some type of influence, some type of energy, some type of experience that a person still believes in. And because the logical mind is just used to interpret reality. It's the mathematical mind, But when an experience already happens to a person and it becomes embedded in them as an energetic influence and things like that, as a vibration, especially if it's negative and stuff like that, a person might not necessarily want to play out that reality. So they might sit there and argue with themselves and use their left brain to analyze, think, and communicate that, I don't really want that, blah, 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 blah. and things of that nature, you know. And if anyone is in that space, you know, it may be it's quite the experience. But, you know, I really believe that God will never give you anything, the universe will never give you anything that you can't handle. So anything that's going on in your life, anything that's going on in my life, surely we can handle, you know what I'm saying? Because you're still around, I'm still around, so that means something is possible, surely, right? And there's a process to all these things, right? There's a process to change and stuff like that, which is why I created this channel, just because we gotta really study and really understand the process of change and things like that, because it's really a process that anyone goes through. As a Virgo, the one thing I believe in is processes, like a process. Through a process, anyone can change. Surely, it's definitely possible. But yeah, when you see people talk to themselves, they're kind of just arguing with themselves about that negative experience that they had, about an event, about some type of energy, some type of influence, and that becomes like their own demon, their own devil that they're fighting, you know what I mean? And when a person can't like really fight off their demons because they don't have a process, they don't, and shit like that, it just becomes like them. It becomes like a part of them is almost like possessed by an experience, by an influence, by an energy, and they start to, and since they don't get rid of it, they start to kind of almost like subconsciously live by it, and consciously like they might not want to do that. Like a person, for example, right? Subconsciously, their body might be programmed to smoke cigarettes because of, you know, whatever they experienced early on, stress, you know, whatever, fear, you know, because when you smoke, it kind of lessens the percentage level, it relaxes you in a sense, right? So it's like, but consciously, a person might know like, oh, damn, cigarettes are not good for you. They're actually bad for you, and I really shouldn't be smoking these things, right? And so it's like there's almost like a dissonance between, okay, I know this is bad for me, but physically, behaviorally-wise, a person is addicted to it, right? So a lot of the times people are just addicted to certain energies, certain influences, just certain experiences that they went through. And since they believe in those experiences, right, it kind of becomes something that outweighs them in the subconscious world, because, you know, the subconscious world is what controls our reality. And if a person can't master, can't program, can't retrain their subconscious, then most likely their conscious reality will be a mess, because they really are living by thoughts, they're really living by feelings, they're really living by desires, influences that are kind of more so earthbound and stuff like that. So the spirit, the observer, can't really be free in that sense. And so when those negative experiences happen, when you get older, it's a must. It's an absolute must to process those things, because if you don't process those things, then you will be living by outdated thoughts, outdated feelings. Like for the most part, like I wasn't even really being myself for a very long time, you know, and I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that transition and things like that, right? And it's like those experiences are not really you. Those experiences are painting the world to be in a certain light, to be in a certain perspective, but that perspective is not really ours. It's really something that we've been conditioned by. It's really something that we've been given by the world and stuff like that. And if we know anything about the world, we know the world's not exactly the best place. You know, the world's not exactly the best place, you know, because if you really think about it, hospitals, for example, in America and certain places, they can't really profit unless you're sick. So a lot of these institutions, a lot of these places, you know, really can't make money unless you're in some type of negative position, meaning like I gotta punk you in a sense. So this is what this whole world is about. It's about punking people, you know, stabbing motherfuckers in the back, all types of shit. And I'm not for this world. I'm not interested in being a part of this world. If you're interested in all that shit, please don't watch my channel. I'm not really interested in you as a person, or just being friends with you in any kind of way. Like seriously, please. Thanks so much. Anyways, so a person would just sit there, argue with themselves about that part of them that's really sold out. And usually it's the root chakra that's attached to something. And look, these organs, these chakras are just energy processing centers. What's happening is one of these energy processing centers is stuck. It's not processing something, because energy is supposed to come in, energy is supposed to go out. I eat something, I'm just supposed to take a shit and let it go. When you have an experience, you're supposed to experience freely and then let that experience go. But at some point, we get stuck by those experiences. We believe in those experiences. We sell out of those experiences. An experience is just an experience. Like an experience literally means an experiment. Meaning, hey, let's try this and let's see how this goes. Okay, did I like this? Did I hate this? Okay, let me create my next experience based upon the previous knowledge that I've collected. That's what experiencing is all about. Experiencing is not meant to necessarily capitulate you in a negative space. But see, I understand it, because like a trauma can be very difficult to process and deal with and things like that, right? So a lot of the times it's these traumas that people live by subconsciously that start to influence and run their lives. And they really just live by a matrix that is not true. True to them because they believe in it, not true because, you know, you don't have to believe in it. Meaning, like, we as the observer, we have the ability, we have the power to choose what do we believe in, what do we give our time and energy to. And so if you as a person, if I as a person choose to give less of our time, less of our energy to those things that hold us back, in terms of thoughts, in terms of feelings, like you just literally start to do new things, start to like literally take more risks, take more actions. Because a lot of the times, like, a person's experiences will put them in a certain space where they might not want to do anything that's unfamiliar to that, because that's what's comfortable to them. So it becomes like a survival mode. They become capitulated. Oh, I'm a victim of this, I'm a victim of that. But a person can only truly be a victim if they continue to do these things, take actions that are associated with it, continue to think and feel with things that are associated with that victimhood. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this happened to me when I was little, therefore when I'm an adult, I can't do X, Y, and Z. It's like the whole allegory of, like, you know, the what's it called, the elephant. Because elephants, when they're kids, they tie them with a rope, and when they're kids, they can't break free out of that because they're chilling, they're not strong enough. But when they grow into adults, they still can't break free out of that rope, because mentally they believe, because they've already tried so many times when they were a child. When they become massive elephants, they don't try to break it off, because they literally believe, based upon their memories, that they couldn't do it when they're kids. And so a lot of the times our parents and our environment and our culture and our religion may put certain limitations, restrictions, and boundaries on us and things like that. And so, but when you grow older, you get to understand that, hey, okay, this is a restriction, this is a boundary, this is an invisible wall that's manufactured for me, but it doesn't have to be there. I have the power over my reality, and therefore I can change these things, because I'm the observer, I'm the spirit, I'm the creator of my reality. You know, and a lot of so I'm not a big fan of religion, because religion will try to make you believe that some type of God out there has a destiny for you. And in a sense, all these things is true, but you gotta understand, like, the context of these things. It's in, like, okay, we're all predestined, everyone has the calling, but picking that calling up is a whole other story, you know? Because religion wants you to believe, like, oh, you can just sit back and eat Captain Crunch cereal and God's gonna take care of everything. No, that's not true. That's why a lot of religious people be some of the most frustrated, angry motherfuckers around. That's why I don't hang out with religious people. Shit, never will, you know, to be honest with you. But yeah, you know, that when people talk to themselves, they're literally just arguing with a part of themselves that's been sold out to a negative experience, a traumatic event that they have. So they start to live by that event. So they start to believe in the survival race, or they start to believe, so they might become like a very Machiavelli type of person, or a manipulator, or might become like a narcissistic or some shit like that. Because a lot of the times when a person has a negative event, it's a part of them that's really unfulfilled or really sold out to a wrong desire and shit like that, right? And so they start to live by that, they start to be that, and they start to believe that that is them, but that is just an experience that they went through that they confuse for their present moment, and things like that, right? So, you know, yeah, that's kind of like why people talk to themselves. Make sure you like this video, and I'll see y'all on tomorrow's motherfucking topic. Better believe it, real stuff.